Hello, folks. This is Sean, the ToGA brother. You have to excuse my voice. I've been working all day today. But I just got my new toy. As you guys can see, this is my new toy. Okay. Now, I say toy lightly because this is not the toy in its complete form. Okay. So, first of all, this is the toy in the front. Okay. You can see that there's base slots right here. Okay. This is where your hard drives are going to be located. Okay. And I'll explain that later. Okay. And this is just ventilation. This whole thing is built upon ventilation. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to use the fan here. It's going to be a nice, cooled system. It's going to be great. Okay. On the side here, you got this big fan right here, and then you have some ventilation, panels, inlets right here. Okay. Okay. Right down here is going to be the hole for the power supply unit. Now, the power supply unit is going to get bolted onto these screws right here. All right. Most likely here, 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 and here. Okay. And I don't have that unit yet. So a little bit of a disclosure here. For a prior build, I had a 650 watt power supply. And with all the components and features, it's not going to be anywhere near as strong, okay? Now, I do have a 1630 GPU stilled in this Ziploc bag so that it keeps dust away. And I have an Asus motherboard with a Ryzen 7 processor. So, and I plan on sticking 32 gigs of RAM in there, and I'll explain that later, okay? So as you can see, and there's a couple of slots for hard drives and all that good stuff, okay? Oh, I might want to put that up there too. We need to make sure that this has enough power. Now, the power I had is not enough, okay? Yes, it would give power, but it would be kind of like you turning on lights, and it would be very, 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 very... It's like your car, right? When your car battery is about to die, you turn a key, and you crank it, and it has just enough juice to get the headlights to illuminate, but not enough to be used, and your car running fine, right? It's that last, 5 minutes before it just quits, right? So it's that same thing. So yes, I had power supply, but it's not strong enough. Matter of fact, y'all, did I? I think I did. I think I actually put it in this container right here, which is off cam, all right? I apologize, but this is where I keep all of my supplies. No. Yeah, folks, stand by just 1 minute, and I will be right back, and I will show you what it looks like. But just know that's not the one that's going in it, so stay tuned. So, folks, this is what the power supply looks like, okay? Looks like a big old box with a fan and some ventilation in the back. Now, what's that look like? Looks like a plug inlet, right? Outlet and a switch, okay? Now, this is called a fully modular unit, okay? Or maybe semi-modular unit. This whole thing has screws. You see these screws in here? Okay. The fan is right here. So what happens is it's going to get loaded right in like this. Because this fan has to distribute heat away from this unit. So if I put it up, where do you think all the heat's going to go? In here. The whole point of it being ventilated is so it escapes the computer. So you want to install it upside down, okay? And all these cables are going to go in there. They're going to go routed among all those parts. Stay tuned because I'm going to show you where they're going to go. But it's going to look like this when it's done. Imagine this in there, okay? And then you just turn the switch on and off, okay? But I'm here to tell you, this is a 650 watt power spec model, okay? And it's 80 plus bronze, all right? It just means it's energy efficient, basically, okay? And that's what the connections look like in the back. Now, pretty self-explanatory. That one there is red. That there is red. Red to red. Black to black. Now, some of these connections are going to go into my motherboard, and some of these are not. You see this big old, wide, long looking piece? That's called a 64-pin connector, right? That's going to, or maybe 24. Yeah, 24-pin connector. That's going to go on my motherboard in one of the slots. Again, I'm not installing this, so I won't do that. But you get the point, you get the idea, right? Okay. We're going to say this aside. So we got our power supply, and we have, I can't believe I didn't explain this from the very get-go. This is what you call a case. This is the actual technical term for it, okay? So this would be your case. Now this is a full-size tower, okay? Tower meaning that it towers up, okay? A horizontal would be a desktop, right? Because it sits on the desk. Now, there's areas and rooms for ports to go in and all this, that, and the other. That's okay, because a lot of these are going to get filled in later. But this is a fan port that you can add a fan to pull heat away. And these are just here to be able to let me route cables in the back if I so choose, okay? Keep cable component pretty nice and clean, okay? Or cable management nice and clean. Now, this is just a handle, all right? Now, typically, you'd see screws. Now, these screws allow you to pull the tray. Now, I'm not going to pull this tray yet. Let's pull these screws, okay? They're just thumb screws. They're pretty wide. Now, you can pull them out, but some people like to leave them in halfway so that it stays there, okay? So you're going to pull these two out. We're going to rotate this, and I'm going to take this panel right off, okay? This is what it looks like on the side. Look at that big old size fan. It's bigger than my hand, okay? You can see it, right? It's going to help us in the heat displacement later. So I'm going to set this aside on top of my panel, okay? This is the heart of the inside of the case, okay? All of these are going to be spaces for me to put a CD-ROM drive, a hard drive, a drive so that I can install some, well, for the lack of better words, guys, you should know what this looks like, right? And you know what these are, right? Compact flash, SD, micro SD. This becomes a big module that's going to go on the front of this panel, Remember those little like panels that was tapping and making a noise? That's gonna go on there, okay? All right, so we got that. Okay, this are removable trays for you to put your hard drive on so that you can store all your stuff on there. Now, it's done like this so that you can pull it in and out, all right? And it can't pretty much come out without you having to pull it and tab. So, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trays, which means there's 6 bays. You understand that? So I can put a notebook hard drive in there, a desktop hard drive in there, an SSD in there. But actually, you should put your SSDs on the back side, and I'll show you where. And I'll show you what an SSD looks like. I'll break down all of the components, guys. Don't worry. This is a crash course, okay? So these also allow you to store the units as well, okay? It's also for maintaining the stuff that's up here, okay? So I'm not really worried about these particular parts up there, all right? Now, you can also take the cover off of the front if you wanted to. As you can see, a little bit, it kind of pops off right now, okay? That's okay. All right? So you can take these out, put them in for actual bay trays and stuff like that. You can clean this mesh because you might want to clean it if you use it pretty heavily. All right? So, but for now, put that right in there. Okay? Good. All right. So that's in there all snug and good. Okay. These cables are basically cables that allow me to add all of these fans and all of this stuff, and the switches up top allow me to connect them via what's called a motherboard. Now the motherboard is the brain or the head of the computer, okay? Let me take it out of the Ziploc bag, okay? So you can see it in its glory and understand it. Alright, now it's going to come with screws, but it doesn't come in a Ziploc bag, so. Alright, this is your motherboard. This is what it looks like. Okay? Now, my motherboard has screw slots. One there, one up here, one up there, one in the corner. Okay? This is going to get attached right up here. And all of my cables are going to go into those slots. You understand? Okay? So you see on the back how there's holes? Right up the top, right up here. Those holes align with these screw holes. And I'm going to mount my ATX motherboard. Again, I'm using a technical term. You don't have to really know that. I'll break that down later. We're going to put this right in here so I have more space to work with my cables. Okay? So I went over the motherboard. I went over the power supply. Aha. Okay. Now, let's get into this for just a second, folks. This square piece right here is called the chip, the processor. It's either called a chip or it's either called a processor by manufacturers, okay? It's not the processor chip. Some may refer to it that way, but it's one or the other, okay? And this little mechanism just clips in there and it stays locked, okay? Now that's all thermal paste and we'll have to clean that up later and reapply it, okay? And I gave you a name for another product we're going to unveil soon, okay? So, that's the chip right there, okay? Now, This has been going on in the market for a while, and people grab this when they see this on sale because they're a hefty penny. And by hefty, I mean they get into about the thousands if you let it. Okay? And then, right in here. Alright, I know it's ridiculous to have a 2-gallon Ziploc bag, guys, for this, but bear with me. These are Ram sticks. Okay? This thing right here, let's take it out of the bag. Now, many companies make this, and they make many variations of this. Okay? There's 2 pins like this. You see that? And it usually will say something at the top. But what you're after is the information on the back. Okay? Right at the top. So, this is DDR4 type 3200 8G times 2. Okay? So this is 8 gigs. So this is 8 gigs. This makes 16 gigabytes. Okay? You understand that? If I had one at 18, it would be 32 because it's 2 sticks. Okay? Typically, you would use 2 sticks instead of 1 being the same number. Okay? It helps in performance. Alright, so we'll keep those aside. Alright, last but not least, this is what you call the GPU unit. Okay? It's called a graphics processing unit. It looks practically like a motherboard itself because there's a lot going on. Okay? There's the fans. There's the backside. There's my ports. As you can see, I have a display port here, an HDMI, and a display port there. Okay? I'm sorry, this is a DVI. This is the display port. This is HDMI. Yeah, I'm sorry. My correction. Okay? Now, this gets entered and stored right in here. So what's going to happen is, do you see these pins right here? This little card looking thing that you can slide in the chip? It's going to go like this, turn it around, so that the fins, right, are going to go into the board, and this bracket right here, okay? You guys can't see it. Hold on. This bracket right here is going to rest where these are. Do you see that? It's going to rest right on here. And these are thumb screws. So now I can take that out, pull that out, stick this in there, so you need to take out 2 slots. That's why. Okay. Again, you're going to take the exposed port, put the fin in, and it's going to rest just like this. Okay? And then you screw it in there. So now you can put all your HDMI, your VGA, and all them. Okay? That's the graphics card. This is the one that usually is the most money. The chip is in competition with a lot of money, but this one is the money maker. This is the video, the 4K, the 8K resolution, all that. This does that. Okay? And you know it's pretty hefty because it has 2 fans on it itself. Some of them have 3. Crazy, right? Okay. All right, guys. Keep all your screws together so you know where they go. I've made that mistake before. I do not recommend you make that same mistake. Okay. Where's that little baggie of screws? Because I think what I want to do is show you how we're going to mount this motherboard. Okay? I have just one more item of business to do with you guys, and that's to show you the top. The top is probably one of the neatest features of this entire case. Okay? And it will make running this case so much easier. Okay? Alright. So there's this little baggie. Okay. I'll lay him down just for a sec. Maybe not. I'm going to show you on top. Okay? So, this is the top right here. This is my ventilation paneling system. Check this out. Okay? Look at that. It's like shark fin, like shark gills, right? Fish gills. All the ventilation is going to come out the top. I can close that if I want. Okay? See that? Closed, open. Closed, open. Okay? Last piece that's really cool. This controls the speed of the fans that were in there. These fans right here, this one here, and this one here, and the one on the back, whichever one I decide to do. I think I'm going to control the one on the side, which is over here, and the one that's right in the front for the hard drive. This is going to help the card itself, but we also have another one to do that too, and I haven't even shown you that part, which we got to do later because I got to apply a goo-like paste on something that we'll do later, okay? But this is USB 3.0. That's what this cable is for, right here, okay? It's going to allow me to add this right to the motherboard, so I don't need to go and plug everything in the back, right? Because this panel right here is going to go where all of these connections are. There's your USB 2.0. I think that's, or I'm sorry, 3.0. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that color before. But you got USB-C, USB 3.0, HDMI, or display port. You got HDMI and USB 3.0 and an old mouse style connection or keyboard. Okay? And that's all your 5.1 audio connections, like your headphones, or if you want to have a PC system, like a sound system, you can connect it right in here with all your 3.5mm headphone jack, okay? But this part right here, the white part that has all these are going to go in that back panel. And this allows me to use more ports up there by putting it up on the top. And there's my power button right there, okay? So, that's my whole case, but I have one part that I haven't shown you yet, which we're going to do later on. Okay? Now, as your chip is working, it gets hot. Okay? As parts start running and going efficiently, it builds friction, right? Like your car. And as the car it builds more and more friction, it gets hot inside the engine because it's cranking, it's working. More friction, more heat. So to combat that, you need a CPU cooler, okay? Looks like a big old thermostat with a big old fan on the top. Now, you see this part right down here? that's going to get installed onto this part right in here, or the actual motherboard, which is then going to get installed inside of my case. But we're going to install this when it's in there, but I got to install the motherboard first. So, come try me on another video. I showed you my case. Let's go and start this build together, all right? Check out my next video. Stay tuned, guys. Appreciate it. I'm Sean. I'm out.